The neon lights of Las Vegas reflected in the windows of the Carmine Strip Club, an establishment that prided itself on its exclusivity. Unlike dozens of other similar places on the Strip, there were no flashy signs or barkers here. Just tinted glass, a red door, and a security guard in an impeccable suit checking the guest list. Inside, there was an atmosphere of luxury, dim lighting, expensive alcohol, and a special approach to each customer. Veronica Vale was the star of Carmina. At 32, she combined experience and youth, attractiveness and prudence. 5 nights a week, she took to the stage, moving like a big cat, smoothly, gracefully, with an awareness of her power. But Veronica didn't earn her real money on stage, but in the VIP rooms, where an hour of her attention cost more than the average American's weekly salary. Veronica was a master of her craft, recalls one of Carmina's bartenders. She knew how to make a man feel special. Wealthy clients waited for her, some planning their trips to Vegas months in advance just to see her. Veronica's apartment on the 18th floor of a residential complex overlooking the Strip spoke to her success. Designer furniture, modern art on the walls, a walk-in closet full of luxury brand clothing. According to her neighbors, she led a quiet life, rarely threw parties, and seldom had guests over. "People think we just take our clothes off for money," Veronica said in an interview with a magazine about Vegas nightlife a year before her death. "But that's just the tip of the iceberg. We are psychologists, therapists, friends, muses. Men come for a fantasy, and I give them that fantasy." Veronica's regular clients included politicians, businessmen, lawyers, and even celebrities. Nicholas Kane, a 47-year-old real estate developer who built several hotels and residential complexes in Las Vegas, held a special place. Over the past 2 years, he visited Carmine's on average once a week, and almost always spent time only with Veronica. "He was obsessed with her," says one of the club's dancers. "Once he gave her a diamond bracelet worth a 5-figure sum. Sometimes he would book a VIP room for the whole night just for the two of them." Veronica's other clients included a district court judge, the head of a pharmaceutical company, and 2 high-ranking city officials. They all knew each other outside the club, in some cases doing business together, but preferred not to discuss their visits to Carmine's. In mid-May, Veronica made an appointment with Dr. Gabriel Ramirez, known in certain circles in Las Vegas for his discretion. She complained of fatigue, intermittent fever, and enlarged lymph nodes, attributing the symptoms to stress and lack of sleep. The standard procedure for such symptoms includes a series of tests, explains Dr. Ramirez, who agreed to discuss only medical protocols without disclosing personal information about the patient. An HIV test is one of them. On June 8th, after returning from a follow-up appointment with Dr. Ramirez, Veronica locked herself in her apartment and did not communicate for 2 days, canceling all appointments. According to records from her phone, recovered after her death, she searched for information about HIV treatment, life expectancy with the diagnosis, and laws regarding transmission of the infection. "At first, I couldn't believe it," she wrote in a personal diary that was found after her death. "I've always been careful. But then I remembered Jay from Miami last year, and that guy from New York. Damn, how could I have been so stupid?" The next day, Veronica went to work. Diana Shelton, the 38-year-old owner of Carmina, noticed that something was wrong with Veronica, but chalked it up to personal problems. "We all have bad days," Diana recalls. "This is Vegas, baby. Put on a smile and do your job." That evening, Veronica met with 3 clients in the VIP rooms. One of them was Nicholas Kane. According to surveillance camera footage, their meeting lasted 2 hours and 40 minutes, an hour longer than usual. "She seemed distant," Kane would later tell detectives. "I asked if everything was okay, but she changed the subject. It wasn't like our usual meeting." In her diary that night, Veronica wrote, "I can't tell them. I can't tell anyone. It's the end of everything I've built. But what if I've already infected someone? Nicholas? The judge? How many have there been in the last year? I can't even remember them all. Maybe I should just disappear. Start over somewhere where no one knows me. But Veronica didn't disappear. Instead, she continued to work, see clients, and dance on stage. She expanded her client base, began dating new men, ignoring Dr. Ramirez's warnings about the need to inform her partners of her status. "I just can't," she told Dr. Ramirez at her June 20th appointment. "You don't understand. These people could destroy me. They could make sure no one ever hires me again. What would I do then?" Dr. Ramirez reminded her of Nevada's laws regarding the intentional transmission of infections and convinced her to start antiretroviral therapy. Veronica agreed to take the medication, but refused to disclose her status. "I'll start taking these pills," she wrote in her diary. "Ramirez said it will reduce the risk of transmission. Maybe no one will get infected. Maybe everything will be fine." It was June 2023. 8 months later, Veronica Vale was found dead in her apartment. Her body had been dismembered, and a note was found inside. July 2023 was particularly hot in Las Vegas. Temperatures rose to 45 degrees, and the flow of tourists seeking to try their luck and enjoy the city's famous entertainment seemed never-ending. At the Carmine Club, the air conditioners were running at full capacity, and the bartenders could barely keep up with mixing cocktails for guests thirsty for coolness and pleasure. Veronica Vale fell into her usual rhythm. After a brief hiatus caused by the shock of her diagnosis, she immersed herself completely in her work. Outwardly, nothing had changed. The same dazzling smile, the same polished movements on stage, the same ability to hold a conversation with customers. But internally, Veronica had been transformed. "I live in a parallel universe," she wrote in a note on her phone on July 3rd. "On the outside, everything is as before. On the inside, every day is like my last. These pills remind me every morning that I am different now. Sometimes I want to shout in their faces, 'Hey, you know what? I have HIV,' just to see how their attitudes would change." Dr. Ramirez insisted on weekly visits to monitor her condition and the effectiveness of the therapy. At each appointment, he asked if she had told her partners about her status. And each time, Veronica answered no. "You don't understand, doctor," she said. "These aren't normal relationships. These people pay me for a fantasy, for an illusion, to feel special for an hour. They don't want reality. They don't want to know that I'm sick." Dr. Ramirez warned her about the legal consequences of intentionally transmitting HIV, but Veronica remained adamant. She assured him that she was taking all precautions and that the therapy minimized the risk of transmission. Antiretroviral therapy had side effects: nausea in the morning, periodic headaches, and sometimes rashes. To cope with this, Veronica began taking various painkillers and antihistamines, often washing them down with alcohol. A dangerous combination that Dr. Ramirez warned her about particularly sternly. "Slept until 3 today." Another note on her phone from July 18th. "These pills are throwing me off balance. I had to cancel my meeting with Judge Thompson. He wasn't thrilled. Nicholas called 3 times. He's starting to get on my nerves with his concern. What will happen when he finds out? When they all find out?" Veronica was becoming increasingly in demand at the club. Her name was passed from mouth to mouth among the city's influential men as a kind of password to a world of special pleasures. Sometimes her schedule of appointments in the VIP rooms was booked weeks in advance. Nicholas Kane, however, began to show an increasing possessive interest. He increased the frequency of his visits to 2 or 3 a week, and once offered Veronica an exclusive arrangement. "I could pay you twice what you're earning now," he said during one of their meetings in late July. "You would only see me, no other clients." Veronica was cautious about the offer. On the one hand, an exclusive relationship would mean less risk from other men. On the other hand, it would mean complete dependence on one man, who would inevitably learn about her status. "I appreciate your offer, Mr. Kane," she replied at the time, "but I need time to think about it." "Time is a luxury," Kane said, "and I can afford that luxury. A week, no more. Then I need an answer." Kane wasn't the only influential client in Veronica's circle. In early August, Congressman Andrew Foster, Nevada's representative in the House of Representatives, appeared on the horizon, visiting Las Vegas on a semi-official visit. His assistant booked a VIP room and specifically requested Veronica, citing a recommendation from a mutual friend. "Danced for the congressman today," reads an entry in Veronica's phone from August 4th. Nothing special, honestly. Typical politician. Talked about himself the whole time. He said he would be back in October. He suggested we meet in a more private setting. I agreed. He has no idea what he's getting himself into. Another new client was Victor Moreno, CEO of California-based pharmaceutical company BioNext. Rumor had it that his company was in talks to acquire a local medical equipment manufacturer. Moreno was known for his tough business style and, according to Carmina's staff, his equally tough attitude toward women. "Vic left bruises again," Veronica wrote on August 15th. "Diana says I can refuse such clients, but he pays twice the usual rate, and he has connections everywhere. The last thing I need is an enemy in the pharmaceutical industry, especially now." Another regular in Veronica's VIP room was James Chen, a well-known Las Vegas lawyer who specialized in defending casinos and hotels in high-profile lawsuits. In his early 50s, Chen had a reputation as a brilliant lawyer with impeccable taste and an unlimited entertainment budget. "Mr. Chen asked about my health today," reads an alarming entry from August 21st. "He said I looked pale. He's becoming too observant. Maybe I should stop meeting with him for a while, but he pays so well and is always so polite, unlike some others." Diana Shelton, the owner of Carmina, also began to notice changes in the behavior of her star performer. Veronica was sometimes late, which had been unthinkable before. Sometimes she asked to be replaced on stage, citing illness. Twice, clients complained about her distant behavior during private dances. "What's going on with you?" Diana asked at the end of August, after Veronica canceled a performance for the third time in a month. "You're losing your touch. You can't do that in our business." "Just overworked," Veronica replied. "Too many customers, too little sleep." "Maybe you should take a vacation," Diana suggested. "A week or two on a beach somewhere. You'll come back refreshed." "I can't afford that right now," Veronica replied. "I have financial obligations." "Is it because of Nicholas? Is he pressuring you?" Diana knew about the exclusivity offer. "You do realize that if you leave to be with him, there's no turning back, right?" "I have everything under control," Veronica assured her. "I just need a little time to sort out some personal issues." Diana didn't insist, but she began to watch Veronica more closely. She noticed that she was taking some kind of pills before each performance, often retreating into private phone calls, and had become much more secretive. Meanwhile, Dr. Gabriel Ramirez encountered a disturbing trend. During August and September, 3 men from Las Vegas high society came to him with similar symptoms: fatigue, night sweats, and a slight fever. All 3 requested complete confidentiality and insisted on being tested for everything. "This is surely a coincidence," Dr. Ramirez told himself after the 3rd such patient. "It must be a coincidence." But when one of them tested positive for HIV, the coincidence became less likely. When a second test also came back positive, Dr. Ramirez realized that his fears might be justified. "You must inform your partners," he told each of them. "It is not only your legal responsibility, but also your moral duty." Both men refused to discuss possible partners, but Dr. Ramirez noticed that they belonged to the same social circle as most of Carmina's clients. "I've had casual encounters," said one of them. "I don't remember any names. It was an escort service." "I'm not sure," said the other. "Maybe it was during my last trip to Thailand, or at a party in Miami. I have an active social life." Dr. Ramirez couldn't breach doctor-patient confidentiality, but he felt a moral dilemma. If his suspicions were correct, and Veronica continued to have unprotected contact with her clients, it could lead to an HIV outbreak among the Las Vegas elite. "I can only warn you again," he told Veronica during their meeting in late September. "The laws on intentional transmission of HIV are very strict. If someone gets infected and it turns out that you knew about your status, the consequences will be serious. I understand, Veronica replied. But you can't be sure it was me. These men have many partners. They fly all over the world. They throw parties with dozens of girls. Why did you decide that I was the source? I didn't say I was sure, replied the doctor. But the coincidence is alarming, and your unwillingness to inform your partners only reinforces my concerns. I'm undergoing treatment, Veronica reminded him. You yourself said that it reduces the risk of transmission to almost zero. When taken correctly and monitored regularly, Dr. Ramirez agreed. But judging by your tests, the concentration of the drug in your blood is not always sufficient. Are you skipping doses? Sometimes, Veronica admitted. When I work until morning, or when we celebrate with clients. Dr. Ramirez shook his head. That's unacceptable. You're putting not only your health at risk, but the health of others as well. I'll try to be more disciplined, Veronica promised. But I can't just drop everything and start a new life. Not now. I have debts, obligations, and I don't know anything else. There are support programs, Dr. Ramirez suggested. I can connect you with social services that will help with employment and housing. And what will I do? Work in a supermarket for minimum wage? Veronica's voice sounded irritated. After I've gotten used to thousands of dollars a night? Their conversation was interrupted by Veronica's phone ringing. It was Nicholas Kane. I have to go, she said, glancing at the screen. I have a business meeting. Veronica? Dr. Ramirez stopped her at the door. I can't make you do the right thing, but I strongly recommend that you reconsider your decisions before it's too late. It's already too late for me, doctor, Veronica replied with a sad smile. I'm just trying to hold on as long as I can. That night, she met Nicholas Kane at his penthouse. He brought up exclusivity again. I'm tired of sharing you with everyone, he said. I need an answer, Veronica. Yes or no? What if I say no? She asked. Then what? Then we'll continue as we are now, Kane shrugged. But I won't wait forever. People like you come and go. In a couple of years, a new star will appear, and you'll be forgotten. People like me, Veronica echoed. You have no idea who I really am, Mr. Kane. Then let me find out. He stepped closer. Give me a chance to get to know the real Veronica Vale. That night, she almost decided to tell him about her diagnosis. Almost. Nicholas is pressuring me with this contract, she typed on her phone after the meeting. Maybe this is the way out? Just one partner instead of dozens. Less risk for others. But what happens when he finds out? He'll destroy me. He has power, money, connections. All I have is my body and my reputation. And now even that is tainted. October in Las Vegas brought welcome coolness after an exhaustingly hot summer. Tourists still flooded the strip, but many locals enjoyed the opportunity to spend more time outdoors. For Veronica Vale, however, the change of season brought not relief, but the beginning of the end of her normal life. On the morning of October 3rd, Nicholas Kane called Veronica and demanded an immediate meeting. His voice sounded tense, which was unusual for the normally reserved developer. This isn't a phone conversation, he said. Meet me in an hour at my penthouse. Veronica agreed, unaware that this meeting would change everything. When she entered Kane's luxurious apartment with its panoramic view of the city, she immediately sensed that something was wrong. Nicholas looked exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes. I got the test results, he said without preamble, pouring himself a whiskey even though it was only 11 a.m. I have HIV. Veronica froze. Her heart skipped a beat. I'm so sorry, she said automatically. How could this have happened? Don't play games with me. Kane's voice was quiet, but there was steel in it. You're the only woman I've been intimate with in the last 6 months. I got tested in March. Everything was clear. Now this. Coincidence? You have no proof it was me. Veronica tried to remain calm, though her heart was pounding like crazy. You could have gotten it anywhere. My doctor says that, based on the viral load, I was infected about 3 months ago. Kane moved closer. In July, when we had that weekend in Palm Springs. Veronica took a step back. Nicholas, I understand you're upset, but this is a serious accusation. Did you know? He grabbed her wrist. Did you know about your status when we were together? Fear flashed in her eyes, and that was enough for Kane. He let go of her hand and turned away. Get out, he said, and pray I don't go to the police. Nicholas, please, Veronica began, but he cut her off. Get out! His shout echoed off the glass walls of the penthouse. That same day, Veronica received a text message from Victor Moreno, CEO of a pharmaceutical company. We need to talk, immediately. I know what you did. And the next day, her lawyer, James Chen, canceled their regular meeting at Carmine's without explanation. It was the first time in 2 years that he had missed their weekly session. They know, Veronica wrote in a note on her phone on the evening of October 5th. Nicholas definitely knows. Moreno, maybe. Chen suspects something. This is the beginning of the end. On October 10th, Veronica met with Victor Moreno in the lobby of the Bellagio Hotel. Choosing a public place was her idea. She was afraid to be alone with an angry client. My test is positive, Moreno said without preamble as they sat down at a table in the corner of the bar. I get tested every month as part of the company's medical protocol. In September, it was clear. Now it's positive. I'm sorry, Veronica began, but Moreno interrupted her with a gesture. Sorry won't help here. His voice was icy. You've put my reputation, my career, my health at risk. My wife is pregnant. Did you know that? Veronica paled. No, I didn't know. I can destroy you, Moreno continued. One word from me and you'll never find work in this city again, or any other. What do you want? Veronica asked. Money? I don't have as much as you think. I want you to disappear, Moreno replied. From Vegas, today, and never come back. And if I hear that you're continuing your activities in another city, knowing your status, I'll personally make sure you're put away. When Veronica returned home after this meeting, an anonymous message was waiting for her. We know what you did. We all know. You'd better run while you still can. Meanwhile, rumors began to spread throughout Las Vegas. At first, they were quiet. Then they grew louder and louder. Elite gentlemen's clubs, VIP casino areas, private parties in penthouses. Everywhere people whispered about the infected dancer who had infected half of Vegas. On October 15th, several influential men in the city gathered in a private conference room at the Venetian Hotel. Among them were Nicholas Kane, Victor Moreno, attorney James Chen, Judge Thompson, and several other regular customers of Carmina. The meeting was not publicized, and security did not allow outsiders to enter. I tested positive 3 days ago, Judge Thompson told the gathering. My wife got tested too. So far, thank God she's negative, but she's asking questions. I'm positive too, admitted one of the businessmen. And I'm sure I got it from her. She's the only new person in my life in the last year. We have to do something, Moreno said. She can't just get away with this. The police? Someone suggested. And make ourselves look like idiots in front of the whole city? Chen objected. Can you imagine the headlines? Vegas elite infected with HIV by stripper. Our reputations, our families, our careers, everything will be destroyed. Then what do you suggest, James? Kane asked. Pressure, the lawyer replied. Financial, social, personal. Force her to leave. And if she tries to talk, it's our word against hers. What if she's already infected others? Asked the judge. Not just in our circle? That's her problem, Moreno snapped. The main thing is that our names don't appear in this story. The meeting ended with an agreement. Everyone would use their resources to force Veronica to leave town. No official statements, no lawsuits, no police. Just make her life in Las Vegas unbearable. The next day, Diana Shelton summoned Veronica to her office at the Carmine Club. What's going on, Veronica? She asked bluntly. Half of your regular clients have canceled their appointments. Nicholas Kane called and demanded that I fire you. What have you done?" Veronica remained silent, staring at the floor. "Is it true?" Diana lowered her voice. "The rumors about the illness?" "How did you know?" Veronica snapped. "So it's true." Diana shook her head. "Damn it, Veronica. Do you realize you've put the whole club at risk? My girls? My business?" "I didn't mean to," Veronica whispered. "Things got out of control." "When did you find out?" Diana asked. "And don't you dare lie to me." "In June," Veronica admitted. "I'm taking medication. The doctor said the risk of transmission is minimal." "My God, Veronica!" Diana slammed her fist on the table. "Minimal doesn't mean zero. You should have told me. You should have stopped working. This is a criminal offense, do you understand?" "What was I supposed to do?" Veronica exclaimed. "This is all I know how to do. It's all I have." "And now you don't even have that," Diana said, taking an envelope out of the desk drawer. "Your final payment, and don't show up here anymore. I can't risk my business." "Diana, please." Veronica began to cry. "I have nowhere to go." "You should have thought about that earlier," Diana replied, but her voice betrayed not only anger, but also sadness. "I really loved you, Vi. You were the best, but this is the end." When Veronica returned to her apartment, another shock awaited her. An eviction notice was taped to the door. The building owner was terminating the lease due to numerous complaints from other tenants. She had 72 hours to vacate the premises. "Kane," she whispered, "this is his doing." That evening, her phone rang incessantly and beeped with messages. Most of the numbers were unfamiliar, but the messages were unambiguous. Threats, insults, demands to disappear. "HIV whore, get out of our city. We know where you live. You'll pay for this." These were the mildest of them. At midnight, there was a knock at the door. Veronica, who had already taken a sleeping pill to get some rest, struggled to get up from the couch. She looked through the peephole and saw two large men in dark suits. "Miss Vale," one of them said when she opened the door on the chain. "We have a message from Mr. Kane. You need to leave Las Vegas, today. Otherwise, there could be problems." "Is that a threat?" Veronica asked, her voice trembling. "It's advice," the man replied. "Very strong advice. You have 24 hours. After they left, Veronica feverishly began packing her things. She knew she had no choice. Las Vegas, which had been her home for the past 6 years, had suddenly become hostile territory. "I'm done for," she typed into her phone. "They know everything. They're all against me. Where can I go? What should I do? I have a little money, but it won't last long. I can't go home. No one is waiting for me there either. Maybe Los Angeles? Or Miami? Start over? But with this disease, how long can I hide it again? And do I have the right to?" By dawn, she had made up her mind. She found a bus ticket to Los Angeles, leaving at 6:45 p.m. from the central station. She packed 2 suitcases, everything she could carry. She had to leave the rest behind. At 5:30 p.m., Veronica took one last look around her apartment. Her cell phone was lying on the coffee table. She decided to leave it behind, buy a new one, and start with a clean slate. This phone was too dangerous. Too many contacts, too many messages, too much evidence. "Goodbye, Vegas," she whispered as she closed the door behind her. She didn't know that she would never get on that bus, and that she only had a few hours left to live. October 19th, 2023, 7:32 a.m. The concierge of the upscale Palm Ridge residential complex in eastern Las Vegas called the police after a concerned neighbor reported a strange smell coming from apartment 1804. The woman also noted that she had heard loud noises coming from the apartment the night before, and then saw an unknown person in dark clothing leaving the building through an emergency exit. "At first, I thought it was a plumbing leak," said Mrs. Eleanor Benson, Veronica's 68-year-old neighbor. "But the smell was different. I've lived long enough to know when something smells like trouble." Patrol Officer Ryan Thomas was the first to arrive on the scene. He knocked on the door, but there was no answer. The concierge opened the door with a master key, and Officer Thomas was confronted with a scene that he said will forever remain in my nightmares. The apartment was completely ransacked. Furniture was overturned, and the contents of cabinets and drawers were scattered across the floor. There were blood splatters on the living room walls, and in the bedroom, on the bed, lay pieces of a human body, neatly arranged in anatomical order, but separated by gaps. It was as if someone had recreated a human figure from scattered fragments. Officer Thomas immediately called for backup and forensic experts. Within an hour, the apartment had been turned into a crime scene cordoned off with yellow tape. By 9 a.m., homicide detective Julian Murphy had arrived. Detective Murphy specialized in difficult cases, recalls Captain Edward Ramos, head of the Las Vegas Police Department's Homicide Division. He had a reputation for seeing what others missed. When we realized what we were dealing with, I called him right away, even though it was his day off. Murphy, a 41-year-old police veteran with 15 years on the homicide squad, was known for his methodical approach and calm demeanor, even at the most gruesome crime scenes. Tall, thin, with perpetually tired eyes and thinning hair, he didn't look like a movie super cop, but his clearance rate was one of the best in the department. I knew it wasn't going to be easy the moment I saw the address, Murphy later said. The eastern part of the city, upscale real estate. Places like that usually mean rich and influential people, and that always complicates the investigation. Upon entering the apartment, Murphy initially just stood at the entrance, touching nothing, absorbing the atmosphere of the crime scene. Forensic technicians were already at work, taking photographs and collecting samples. "This isn't a spur-of-the-moment killing," he said to his partner, Detective Lisa Chang. "Too much organization. Someone took the time to arrange the body just like this. And look at the cuts. Very precise, almost surgical." A preliminary examination showed that the victim was a woman, approximately 30-35 years old. Identification was difficult due to the condition of the body, but documents in the name of Veronica Vale were found in the bedroom. "Miss Vale worked at the Carmine nightclub," the concierge said when Murphy questioned him. "A very popular girl. Lots of visitors, especially in the evenings. Some of them were very respectable people." "Did you notice anything unusual in the last few days?" Murphy asked. "Well, she received an eviction notice 2 days ago," the concierge replied. "Which is strange, because she always paid on time, and several men came to see her yesterday. Not the usual visitors. They looked like, bouncers or something." While Murphy was questioning the concierge and neighbors, the forensic team made a shocking discovery. A note sealed in a plastic bag was found in the victim's chest cavity, between her lungs. "I've never seen anything like it," admitted the lead forensic scientist. The note was placed there deliberately, as if it were a message. The note, written on a plain sheet of paper in block letters, contained only one sentence: "Payment for poisoned blood." This could indicate a motive, Murphy noted as he examined a photograph of the note. "Perhaps related to an infection or illness. We need medical information about the victim." By noon, the victim had been officially identified as Veronica Vale, 32, a dancer at the Carmine Club. The preliminary time of death was between 6:00 p.m. and 10:00 p.m. the previous evening. "We already have several leads," Murphy reported at the first briefing with the investigation team. First, the victim received an eviction notice, which indicates possible problems. Second, neighbors saw suspicious visitors the night before. Third, the note clearly points to a personal motive, possibly related to illness. Murphy sent Detective Chang to check Veronica's medical records, while he headed to the Carmine Club to talk to the owner, Diana Shelton. Diana wasn't surprised, Murphy recalled. Rather, she looked as if she had been expecting something like this. That immediately caught my attention. "I fired her 3 days ago," Diana said during the interview. "She had health problems, which she lied to me and the customers about." "What kind of problems?" Murphy asked. "I'm not sure I can discuss that," Diana replied. "Doctor-patient confidentiality and all that." "Miss Shelton, this is a murder investigation," Murphy reminded her. "Any information could be crucial." After some hesitation, Diana told him about Veronica's HIV status and how several clients, upon learning of their infection, had begun threatening her. Who specifically threatened her? Murphy asked. I don't know any specific names, Diana replied, but Veronica had a list of regular clients, very influential clients. Diana reluctantly provided the list, and Murphy was stunned by the names he saw there. Real estate developer Nicholas Kane, pharmaceutical magnate Victor Moreno, lawyer James Chen, district court judge Thompson, Congressman Andrew Foster. This complicates things, Murphy told his partner on the phone. Half the list is people who could get the captain to suspend me with a single phone call. Meanwhile, Detective Chang reported that she had accessed Veronica's medical records. She was indeed HIV positive. She was diagnosed in June of this year. Her attending physician is Dr. Gabriel Ramirez. I need to talk to him, Murphy replied, and start interviewing the clients on the list. Let's start with the most frequent visitors. Dr. Ramirez agreed to meet Murphy in his office after his appointments were over. He was clearly upset by the news of Veronica's death, but he also didn't seem particularly surprised. I warned her, he said, after Murphy explained the purpose of his visit. I told her it could end badly, but she didn't listen. What exactly do you mean, doctor? Murphy asked. When a person learns of an HIV diagnosis, they have a legal and moral responsibility to inform their partners, Ramirez explained. Veronica refused to do so. She continued her work without informing her clients of her status. And you knew about this? I suspected it, the doctor clarified. When patients with the same diagnosis from the same social circle started coming to me, I put two and two together. Can you name these patients? Murphy asked. No, I can't, Ramirez replied firmly. That would be a breach of medical confidentiality. But I can say that some of them were very upset and angry when they learned of their diagnosis. Angry enough to kill? Murphy asked bluntly. Dr. Ramirez paused, looking out the window. Detective, when a person learns that their life has been changed forever because of the actions of another person, yes, I think that can cause very strong anger. The next day, Murphy began interviewing the clients on the list. The first was Nicholas Kane, who agreed to meet at his office in one of his hotels. Mr. Kane, when was the last time you saw Veronica Vale? Murphy began. About a week ago, Kane replied, sitting at a massive desk overlooking the strip. We were discussing business matters. What kind of business matters? Murphy clarified. I offered her a contract, Kane said. An exclusive one. She would work only for me, no other clients. And what was her response? She was hesitant, Kane replied. And then other circumstances arose. What circumstances? Murphy noticed the developer's shoulders tense. Personal circumstances, Kane replied evasively. Mr. Kane, I'm investigating a murder, Murphy reminded him. Any information could be important. After a pause, Kane admitted that he had learned of his HIV-positive status and suspected that Veronica was the source of the infection. I was furious, he said. I won't deny it. We talked about it, quite heatedly. How heatedly? Murphy asked. I didn't threaten her with physical violence, if that's what you're asking, Kane replied coldly. I'm a businessman, a detective, not a street thug. Where were you on the evening of October 18th between 6:00 p.m. and 10:00 p.m.? Murphy moved on to the standard alibi question. At a charity dinner at the Bellagio, Kane replied without hesitation. There were about 300 guests, and I gave a speech at 8:30 p.m. That's easy to verify. Victor Moreno, unlike Kane, refused to meet in person and insisted that his lawyer be present during the phone call. I haven't seen Miss Vale in several weeks, he stated, and I don't have any information that could help your investigation. Mr. Moreno, we are aware of your HIV status and that you may have been infected by Ms. Vale, Murphy said bluntly. There was a long pause. That is confidential medical information, Moreno finally replied, and it is irrelevant to your investigation. The note found at the crime scene mentions poisoned blood, Murphy said. That could be a direct reference to HIV. Detective, Moreno's lawyer interjected. My client was in San Francisco at a conference all day yesterday. We have tickets, hotel registration records, and witnesses to confirm that. Judge Thompson was even less talkative. He refused to discuss his relationship with Veronica and insisted that their connection was strictly professional. In what sense professional, Your Honor? Murphy asked. She was a stripper. Miss Vale was a dancer, the judge corrected. I occasionally visited the club where she worked. Nothing more. And you were never alone with her? Never used the VIP room services? Murphy pressed. I am not obligated to answer those questions, the judge snapped. And I advise you to be careful with your accusations. No one is accusing anyone yet, Murphy remarked. I'm just trying to figure out who might have had a motive to kill this woman. Well, it certainly wasn't me, said the judge. I was having dinner with colleagues from the state Supreme Court that evening. You can check. Attorney James Chen was more forthcoming. He admitted that he was Veronica's client and that he had recently learned of his HIV status. I was in shock, of course, he said. But I'm a lawyer. I know that emotional reactions rarely lead to good decisions. What did you do when you found out? Murphy asked. I talked to the other victims, Chen admitted. We discussed possible legal action, a civil suit, possibly a criminal case. Was there a meeting of these victims? Murphy recalled the mention of a secret meeting at the Venetian Hotel. There was an informal discussion, Chen replied evasively. But no one was planning anything extreme. By the end of the second day of the investigation, Murphy had a list of more than a dozen people who could have had a motive to kill Veronica Vale. All of them were wealthy, influential men who could potentially have contracted HIV from Veronica. And all of them denied any involvement in the murder, providing alibis that seemed solid at first glance. This doesn't make the case any easier, Murphy said to his partner as he reviewed his notes at the end of the day. We have at least 15 suspects with strong motives, but so far, none without an alibi. What about the note? Detective Chang asked. It clearly points to a motive related to HIV. Yes, but it could also be an attempt to lead us down the wrong trail, Murphy remarked. Such a theatrical murder, the body laid out like an anatomical textbook. The note in the chest cavity, it's too ostentatious. It's as if the killer wanted us to focus on the HIV aspect, Chang agreed. Exactly, Murphy nodded. But what if the real motive is deeper? What if it's not just revenge for the infection? Do you think we're missing something? Chang asked. I think we need to dig deeper into Veronica's life, Murphy replied. Find out more about her past, her finances, her relationships with these men, especially Kane. He seems to have been particularly close to her. Where do we start? Chang asked. With the phone, Murphy replied. Forensics found it in the apartment. If we can unlock it, we may find the key to this whole story. A week into the investigation, Detective Julian Murphy encountered what he later called a wall of silence. Calls went unreturned, requests for follow-up interviews were denied, and some witnesses suddenly remembered details that contradicted their original statements. Someone very powerful doesn't want this case solved, Murphy told his partner, Detective Lisa Chang, and they have the resources to keep people quiet. Particularly telling was a call from Captain Ramos, the head of the homicide division. Murphy, you need to be careful, the captain said. I got a call from the mayor's office. They're concerned about the investigation. What exactly are they concerned about? Murphy asked. That you're digging too deep into the personal lives of respected citizens, Ramos replied. This is a sensitive case. We don't need a scandal. I need the truth, Murphy objected. And if that truth leads to a scandal, so be it. Meanwhile, the forensic team had gained access to Veronica's phone. The notes in her app were a revelation to the investigation. She documented everything, said the technician, handing Murphy the printouts. Names, dates, amounts, and her thoughts about each client. Veronica's notes painted a picture of gradual despair after receiving her diagnosis. Nicholas Kane received particular attention. "Nicholas is becoming more and more intrusive," she wrote on September 12th. "He says he loves me. But what kind of love is that, which can be bought with money? And what will he say when he finds out the truth?" Another entry, dated October 5th, was even more disturbing. "N knows. He was furious. He said he would make me pay. But how? What can he do?" The breakthrough in the case came when technicians discovered deleted messages on Veronica's phone. Among them was a conversation with an unknown number on the night before the murder. Unknown. "I can help you leave. I have money, a passport, everything you need." Veronica. "Why do you want to help? Everyone else wants to destroy me." Unknown. "Because I've always cared about you. Meet me at your apartment at 7 p.m. Be alone." After tracing the number, Murphy discovered that it belonged to a disposable phone purchased with cash. But geolocation showed that the messages had been sent from the area where Nicholas Kane's office was located. "That's not proof," Chang warned. "Thousands of people work in that area." "But it's a lead," Murphy replied, "and the first one that points to a specific suspect." The second clue came from analyzing the note. Forensic experts determined that the paper was a rare brand used in luxury hotels for personalized notes to guests, and that such paper was used at the Oasis Hotel, one of Nicholas Kane's projects. "Again, circumstantial evidence," Murphy said, "but the pattern is becoming clearer." The third clue was the testimony of a cleaning lady from Kane's office, who recalled seeing bloody napkins in his trash can the morning after the murder. "I didn't think anything of it," she said. "I thought maybe he had cut himself, but there was a lot of blood." When Murphy tried to get a search warrant for Kane's office and residence, he was met with resistance. "Not enough evidence," the judge said, denying the request. "You can't bother a respected businessman on such shaky assumptions." Murphy didn't give up. He began digging deeper into Kane's past and discovered that the developer had studied medicine in his youth before going into business. This explained the surgical precision of the cuts on Veronica's body. The decisive moment came when he found footage from the security cameras in the parking lot of the residential complex where Veronica lived. The recording, made on the night of the murder, showed a car belonging to Kane entering the parking lot at 6:45 p.m. and leaving at 9:17 p.m. "But he had an alibi," Chang reminded him, "a charity dinner at Bellagio, which he only showed up for when it was time for his speech at 8:30 p.m., Murphy replied. "And before and after that, no one can confirm exactly where he was." With this new evidence, Murphy obtained a warrant and searched Kane's residence. Blood-stained gloves and a set of surgical instruments were found in a hiding place in the garage. DNA analysis confirmed that the blood belonged to Veronica Vale. On October 31st, 2023, Nicholas Kane was arrested on charges of first-degree murder. During questioning, he initially denied his guilt, but when presented with all the evidence, he unexpectedly confessed. "She poisoned me," he said. "Not just my body, but my reputation, my future. She had to pay." "Why like that?" Murphy asked. "Why the dismemberment? Why the note?" "I wanted others to know," Kane replied, "so that other victims would see justice. She ruined the lives of many men, not just mine." "What about the meeting at the Venetian? What did you agree on there?" "Only to make her leave," Kane insisted. "No one suggested killing her. It was my own decision." The trial of Nicholas Kane began in March 2024 and attracted enormous media attention. Prosecutors portrayed him as a calculating avenger who cold-bloodedly planned Veronica's murder. The defense tried to portray him as a victim who acted in the heat of the moment after learning of his HIV status. The most shocking moment of the trial was the appearance of other victims of infection. Victor Moreno, James Chen, and 4 other men testified about their HIV status and how it changed their lives. "I lost everything," said one of them. "My wife, my children, my reputation, all because of her selfishness." However, prosecutors reminded the jury that, whatever the motive, murder is still murder. Revenge does not justify dismembering a human body, prosecutor Alicia Gomez said in her closing argument. Mr. Kane did not act impulsively, but with surgical precision and cold calculation. On May 9, 2024, the jury found Nicholas Kane guilty of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The consequences of the Veronica Vale case were far-reaching. The Carmine Club closed a month after the murder. Diana Shelton left Las Vegas and, according to rumors, opened a small business in Florida under a different name. Dr. Gabriel Ramirez continued his practice, but became an active advocate for stricter laws on HIV disclosure and mandatory partner notification. Congressman Andrew Foster did not run for re-election, citing family circumstances. Judge Thompson resigned for health reasons. Julian Murphy was promoted to lieutenant, but, in his own words, the Veronica Vale case left a scar on his soul that would never fully heal. "There are no real winners in this story," he said in an interview a year later. "Only victims. Veronica was a victim of her circumstances and decisions. The men she infected were victims of her selfishness, and Kane was a victim of his own rage and thirst for revenge. But the main lesson of this story," he added, "is that secrets and lies, no matter how deeply hidden, always find a way to surface, and the price of such secrets can be unimaginably high."